Welcome to today's guest, all the way from Canada, Jesse Roper. How are you doing, mate?
Real good, real good. Just watching the snowfall outside.
Oh, mate, you were just talking off air there and about how much snow you've had there. Because you're in BC, aren't you? British Columbia.
Yeah, it was like real mild. It's been a strange winter. It's been like when I got home from the UK the last trip or Europe, it was like chilly and frosty, and then it got warm, and then boom, Arctic air flew in, and it was like -20 for a bunch of days, and now it's snowing, and yeah,
It,
wild.
it's so funny, right? Because see, I live obviously in the Isle of Wight and right at the bottom of the UK, as you know, and literally, if we have a tiny little flurry, everything stops.
Yeah, I bet that's kind of how it is here too.
I'm talking like dusting on a cake sort of flurry, like the real fine stuff.
Oh, okay, the icing
I,
sugar, eh? Right on.
Yeah, the really fine stuff that barely coats the ground. And we're like,
Yeah,
oh God, there's buses that have pulled up the side of the road. People are like, oh my God, because they're just not used to it.
yeah. Oh, well, man, I can think of similar winters here. Yeah, actually, it kind of cracks me up. There's been times when you crack on the radio in the morning on your drive to work or whatever, and it'll have snowed the night before in Victoria and melted. So there's no snow on the ground anywhere, but people will still be calling in, "Hey, it snowed last night. Is school still open?" And radio announcers always like, "Do you see any?" But yeah, people freak out here too.
Have you lived in BC all your life then?
Yeah, yeah. Grew up in a little town called Machosen, just outside of Victoria. And I feel so lucky. I grew up here out in the sticks, and it was like low income housing back then. And so there was
Right.
a whole bunch of young families moved out there kind of at the same time and had kids. And so I was like a bike ride away from all my best friends when I was like between the ages of like well, since I was born, but as soon as I could ride a bike, around like 4 years old or whatever, until I, graduated and moved out and all that kind of stuff. It was awesome.
I mean, it's got to be the most beautiful part of Canada, surely.
I mean, I think it is.
I suppose, but get down to business. So obviously, you're coming over to do a couple of shows, aren't you? Starting off in Manchester on the 21st. How are you feeling about that? Is it a location and a venue that you've been to before? Is it all new?
I've been to Manchester. I was there like, gosh, like a couple months ago now. But I one of the first like I just did this tour over there opening solo for a guy named Dylan LeBlanc, and one of the first dates we did was Manchester. And yeah, we went London, Birmingham, and then Manchester was one of the best nights I had in the UK. Yeah, they seemed to like me over there, so it went good. So when they're putting together a list of dates, I was like, maybe put Manchester on that list because that one went good.
Yeah.
I've heard nothing but good stuff about the club we're playing. Manchester was also a deluge of rain. When I got there, it was just a downpour, so I didn't really get a chance to get out and check it out. So I don't know if it'll be any different this time, but I'd love to like poke around the city a bit.
I mean, I won't lie. I think there's a very real possibility of coming into the UK in January.
Yeah, I'm getting the notion.
Of all the sort of locations you're playing on this tour, then, because you've got Glasgow, Birmingham, London, Manchester, obviously, and the Isle of Wight. Which one of those intrigues you the most?
I guess the Isle of Wight, just because like I don't know Jimi Hendrix and his famous Isle of Wight concert.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was actually an island too, an
Yeah.
isle. Go figure. I'm looking forward to that. I don't know. That's just the whole thing. I haven't played with my band in a little while, so I'm stoked to get the guys together and like, hash through the songs and just I really like I don't care where I am in the world. If I get to play every night, I'm stoked. But yeah, Isle of Wight is probably the one that I keep on thinking about.
Mate, I mean, it's a shame you're not coming in the summer because when the sun's shining on those rare days, this place looks amazing.
Yeah, really, eh?
Brilliant, brilliant beaches, really like scenic roads.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you're playing strings first time there as well.
Yeah, yeah. First time there. First time to
Uh,
all these clubs. Oh, except for
right.
the one in what was that? Kitchen and Garden. I played there once with Dylan, and there was this old guy. I don't know how old. He could have been 100, but he had like this stone face glare, and he just looked at me with this like unmoving, unblinking, unflinching glare the whole time I played. And I don't know if it was because he was enjoying it or absolutely not. I couldn't read him. But every time I'd be playing, oh, yeah, I'm feeling good about this one. And I'd open my eyes for a split second and I'd see him. I'm like, shit, I shouldn't have even opened my eyes. He'd get right into my head.
He might have been one
Oh,
of those. He might have been one of those types of guys that was internally really happy, but on externally not didn't look like he was.
I wonder about that. You never know.
No, I mean, so what would you describe yourself as? Are you a rock star? Are you a singer-songwriter, Americana singer? What sort of category do you fit in?
All those.
With
I don't know.
some people like have one or the other, don't they? And then there's others that say the whole thing, the cross spectrum.
Yeah, it depends what day. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like a bit of a rockin' star, but I don't know. I spent all this time on my own writing tunes. Maybe that makes me a
Yeah.
singer song. Whole Americana thing. Like, I don't know how I end up in that box, but that's where I've been put. So I'm like, okay, I guess that's what I do.
It's got to be a bit of a niche for a Canadian to be into Americana, right?
I know it shouldn't it be Canadiana?
Canadiana, exactly. Yeah, yeah.
I don't think it's even a category though.
What were your early influences?
Well, when I started playing guitar, it was actually my older brother, my dad used to play fiddle tunes, Sailor's Hornpipe, and like Blackberry Blossom, and that kind of like fiddle tunes on the deck with banjo and guitar. So I would watch them play, and there was always music on the house. Dad, he's a huge music listening guy. So I started playing guitar through watching them. And then I found AC/DC and fell in love. And AC/DC was my biggest influence ever. I actually played in an AC/DC cover band with a bunch of my closest buddies now. And then yeah, like from there it was Steve Ray Vaughan. I found Steve Ray Vaughan, was like, whoa, this guy can play. And then Jimi Hendrix. And then after that, I don't know if I've ever had like as big of an influence as like AC/DC, Jimmy, and Stevie. Like those are the top three. But there's a lot of good stuff, and I get influenced by everything that I hear. Like even if I'm listening to some like sweet, just like house music at a party, and it's just like that vibey, like I can totally get influenced by that. And the next thing you know, I'm trying to figure out how to do that with my guitar.
Do you remember the first time you picked up a guitar?
Yeah, I do actually. I was watching my dad play out on the porch, and I was like, "Dad, I want to play." And I was 6, and he's like, "You do?" I'm like, "Yeah, I want to try playing guitar." He's like, okay. So he sat me on his knee and put the guitar, he had an acoustic guitar, he put it in front of me. And I'm pretty sure I strummed it. He gave me the pick, I strummed it, and he made the chords with his fingers. And then after that, he tried to like show me how to make a chord with my finger. And I did my best, but my hands were pretty weak. Couldn't really get it. But yeah, it didn't take me long to figure it out.
What was the first song that you really sort of learned and started to shred to?
It was Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. I learned how to rock that one real fast, and then I think the Ventures,
Yeah,
like yeah, I got into some Ventures because it was just like simple and awesome, groovy, picking guitar music. So Dad got me into that, and I started learning like Walk Don't Run, and I think Wipeout is somebody else, but similar music. Yeah, all those like old surf tunes. I started doing that, and then after that, I mean, I think I always wanted to play bluegrass, but I wasn't very good at it. And then I found AC/DC, and then it was nothing but that AC/DC live album. I think it's live in Donington Castle.
you could be right.
Uh,
Yeah, I think it is.
yeah, so I listened to that on repeat every day, all the time, and I just would sit with my guitar and I'd press rewind, play, and I just learned all the Angus's stuff as a young guy, and injured my right ear.
I mean, you've got quite a sort of a bluesy side you're playing on a lot of
Yeah.
these songs. Where did that originate from? Is that just something that came from all the different music you've listened to, or is it a thing where you targeted that niche, that type of
No,
music?
the blues is definitely like in me. I love it, and it's simple for me to write. I never really wanted to be like a blues artist though. Like I always appreciated like Led Zeppelin blues or like Ride On. That's a blues. That's an AC/DC blues or like Red House, Jimi Hendrix. Like that's a blues, but there's just like something extra to it. It's these guys who know how to rock but play the blues, and I kind of wanted to be more like that. And in my path through this music industry, like blues just isn't really cool, anymore on a widespread. Like you don't have the Rolling Stones playing early blues. No, nobody that's like hip plays blues anymore. So I've been like, that's been one of the tougher things in my musical adventure, is like being discouraged from that, which I do well,
Yeah,
and urged to become Americana or whatever, which isn't like really all that far removed, but it is. So yeah, that's been one of the bigger challenges for me. But I'm just trying to put bricks in the road, and I enjoy playing every kind of music. So you know, I feel like if I can get my foot in the door in this industry in a bigger way, so that I'm a touring artist, that's what I do. It's like it's happening. I'll come my time with the blues will happen,
yeah,
and I will put out like some serious blues albums, because I got some blues written, and nobody's ever going to hear it unless I'm just playing it at a show, at a solo show or something like that. And because it's like, you're talking to the manager, he's like, well, how are we supposed to sell that? And you go to a
yeah,
producer
yeah,
and they're like, well, how are we supposed to get that on the radio? That's impossible. So I kind of have to like write them because I have to, and then just stick them in the deck of blues that I do. Get back to it
yeah.
later
So,
because I love doing it.
so was being a musician the only option for you? Was it mindset wise? Was it just something you decided early on? Right, it's this or nothing.
No, I was way too chicken when I was young to like do a lot of things. Like I'll never forget, one of my first memories is like I really wanted to race BMX bikes, and my older brothers were BMX bike racers. And I remember this one day came where they were doing the BMX bike racing, and there was going to be a toddlers race, and I brought my trike. I wanted nothing more than to do it. And my parents, like, they brought the trike out and they sat me on it, and I was with like 6 or 10 other little kids on trikes, and they're like, "Iron Marcus, I go!" And I just was like, "Ah!" I wasn't very brave as a young guy, and it took me a little bit of time to build up my courage. And same thing with music. Like, I didn't want to play for anybody. I just wanted to like have it as my own little thing. And you know what? There's a part of me that still wishes I did, because I was
Mm.
uninfluenced and I could go to space anytime I wanted with music. Now it's a little bit harder because I'll stop myself and be like, "Oh, that's a thing. I should be collecting that and making a song out of it," and then you stop it right there. But anyways, I don't know. It's neither here nor there. But yeah, it took me till I was like 18 to get playing for people and actually realize like I absolutely love this. This is the best. And I can't do anything else. And I didn't come fully to that conclusion until a little bit later, but now I'm just like a full-on addict of stepping up on a stage. And it gives me more than anything else gives me in my life, as far as like just the medicine, man. I come off the stage and I feel 10 feet tall.
The adrenaline
And
must be epic.
it's crazy. It's the best thing I've ever done, ever. Yeah, the only thing that comes close is like skydiving was pretty cool. I liked that a lot. That was a similar, like, wow. But yeah, I think music is just a life for me. So I'm just trying to make it happen. I don't need to be a big rock star, but I just want to make it happen.
Has music helped you in various situations when you were younger, like deal with certain things?
Well, it's a bit meditative, or it is. Like if you can like sink into it and kind of lose yourself in it. I mean, geez, I've been gone, just like transported with it. I'm just making notes and beautiful sounds, and um, you know, that's good for you. Anytime you can kind of like leave everything else and be where you are, but not there, at the same time, or like just unconscious of everything else around you. It's really good for you. It's meditation, right? And hard times you can sing them into a song. Good times you can sing them into a song. I think it's been like a really humbling experience, and it's forced me to like learn things about myself that might have been tough if I was doing a different career path, and maybe, I don't know, just not coming into the same challenges. I'm so glad I stuck with this, and it's like it makes me believe in myself too, because I just don't have any quit. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna keep on going, and that's a good thing to know about yourself.
Absolutely, yeah. Who was the person that really gave you the inspiration or the determination to go and pursue a career in music? Was it somebody who believed in you when you were really young, or was it just something that you had in yourself where you was like, I am going to do this?
Yeah. Well, once I started, I kind of had this like belief that if I tried, I could achieve it. Now, I think a lot of people feel that. And like I've hit moments where I'm like, oh my gosh, am I the guy who like tries and believes but is wrong? And so far I've been close to that. But I don't know, my parents have been massively encouraging. Like they love it that I do this. They think it's the coolest, and it makes it really easy. Also, like for a bit there when I first started, I had like a big momentum, and it kind of fell off. And I started questioning everything. And then I was working with a producer over here named Gus Van Gogh, and he gave me kind of like an "I believe in you, so get your shit together" speech one day when I was in the studio. That like it hit right at home, and I'm gonna prove him right if I can. Like I've had so much encouragement along the way, and I kind of just like I want to prove folks right when they're like, "You're gonna do it." I'm like, "Okay, for you, I will try." you know. So there's a lot of encouragement I get along the way, and yeah, it all helps. But my parents and probably Gus and I don't know. There's lots of people really.
Obviously, the music industry is notoriously tough at times, and there's a lot of challenges for people in the industry to overcome throughout their journey. Is there
Yeah,
any bit of advice that people have given you? Okay, right, while you're on this ride, be aware of this, or something like that.
yeah. Well, I'll tell you a bit that Gus said to me. He's like, "Look, you go out with your heroes. Are you on the same level as them? Can you be on the same level? I think you can, but you got to own it and you got to like look at them and judge yourself to their standards, not like what you think is just okay doing it enough. Like you got to be a pro." That was only part of the speech, but I was like, "Oh my god, you're so right." Cuz I was kind of like a little bit willy-nilly about things and being like, "Ah, this is okay and this is okay and this is far enough and I look cool, I guess." And I still don't know how to dress. I got help with that shit. Yeah, he kind of gave me like the do it or don't it uh, talk one time, and that went deep. And I've been trying harder and trying to be more honest with myself. I'm like, was that good? Yes. Sometimes it's really confusing, and you don't want to be too hard on yourself.
How would you
Honest,
describe your style, though? Because you've got quite a distinct style, haven't you?
I guess so. I wish I could listen to me from like other ears' perspective, to really know, because it's hard for me to listen to myself. I've gone so far in this industry with just like, and my judgment is just split second. But uh, I don't know. I bring some energy. I think that's like one of my better features. Like I'm okay guitar player and I write okay songs. And I think my lyrics sometimes are pretty good. I don't know. I'm like bluesy rockin' influenced energy guy that just like really freaking enjoys what he's doing. I don't know. That's me.
Now, looking through some of your albums you've had and having to listen to some of them earlier on, and
Yeah.
they're all fantastic. I was really interested to get your opinion on which do you think, looking back now from your earlier stuff to more recent stuff, is your favorite and shows your evolution as an artist more.
Oh man. Yeah. Okay. Uh I mean Redbird, that album was easy for me to write and has like a lot of my the original energy in there, and I think you can feel it when you listen to it. Like some people say the songs aren't written very well, as good as my new stuff. I don't know. I think it sounds cool, but there's definitely I caught an energy there that is true to me. My singing's a little rough, but on that album, Redbird, the actual song Redbird, I felt like really identified who I was at the time. And the first comment I ever heard of it was, "That's not music. That's just what is this?" And I was like, "Oh, okay." I thought that was the best ever. Uh, the like on Access, I think the one that I mean, that one's pretty good. I Worship the Sun
Yeah,
also
it's
was
good.
pretty. Thanks. Uh, but Yeah, on the newest record, Horizons, Cool Whip by far and away is the best song on that. In my opinion, like when I wrote that, I danced my ass off all night just to this scratch demo that I made, and I had so much fun. And when we recorded it, like I made like Gus like try out for this recording. I wasn't sure he was the right guy for it. I've been saving that for the right guy, and like he nailed it. He got it instantly, and so that one, like the difference between that being my favorite song off a record and Redbird being my favorite song off a record, like those are two completely different things. I think those are two instances where I like got myself, and I'm really like when I listen to those tunes, I'm like, hey, that's me, uh, all the way. But I guess there would be the evolution. It's just totally different.
Who comes up with the album artwork? Because you've got some amazing artwork on your records.
Thanks.
It,
Not me. Uh, I just look around for artists I like. The first one, shit, I'm trying to think of her name. I just look around for artists that I'm big into. Like the Access artwork was this guy named Brian Wilson. He's a killer artist. Everything he does is like super intricate and trippy and yeah, real pixelated. It's really cool.
I was gonna say, I don't know if you're anything like me, but see, I like vinyl. The last few years, I've got into vinyl. There's something different about really holding the vinyl, isn't there? And then appreciating the artwork. And I mean, it's all good just pressing a button and downloading or streaming, but you don't get that. I don't know that feeling that something there when you hold it and you look at the tracks and
Yeah,
everything that's gone
the
into it. It's tangible,
visual.
isn't it?
Yeah, yeah,
That's the reason I was asking about the album artwork.
yeah.
It's the nerd
Well,
in me, man.
yeah, well, I'm glad you like it. I really liked it too. I thought the last album turned out looking really sharp, and yeah, that was a girl. Her handle on Instagram is Post Wook, and all her stuff is like super trippy and layered, and yeah. So I got her to do like an original piece for the. I was using like kind of her stuff off of Art Grab, the singles, and then I got her to do me an original thing for the album cover, and it turned out real good. So yeah, I like it. I that one's up on my wall. I don't have it framed, but yeah, I mean, might as well have one. It's a cool piece of artwork.
Absolutely, yeah. Now you touched on your songwriting there.
Hmm.
Where'd you get your inspiration from? Is it nature? Is it stuff you're going through in your life at the time?
Yeah, everything. Yeah, definitely what I'm going through in life. Sometimes stuff just plunks into my head though, and I'm like, oh, what is that and why? If I'm writing, I write better always if I go for like a walk in the woods. I've always done that my whole life. I love getting out and exercising and being in the countryside. And I find that's when all my ideas sort of plunk into my head. And now, as like a guy who's trying to make these songs consistently, yeah, like I kind of get out every day before I start writing, get my blood up, get a little exercise, be amongst the trees, and yeah, and then try to write tunes. And those tunes, I try not to stop myself. Lyrics are the hardest thing for me to come by, but the thing I almost take the most pride in. And because you got to sing about something, right? I don't know. Sometimes I
Of
sing about
course.
nothing, but I like it when it just makes sense for a reason. And yeah, when I go on my walks, is usually when I get lyrics plopping into my head. Guitar all the time.
Where's the strangest place you've just had a lyric or an idea for a song just like pop into your head?
I mean,
Is-
going to the bathroom is always like
Yeah, of
because you relax, right? You're like
course.
not about your day when you're doing that. So I've had a few. Cool Whip was one of them, actually.
You'd be amazed the amount of people I've asked that question to and the amount of different answers you get from such a simple question. You wouldn't
Yeah,
think it could go so many different ways.
totally.
So when you're not touring and you're just chilling back at home, what is your go-to like to listen to? Is
Oh,
it something classic? Is it new stuff? Is it really surprising genre you stick on?
I can get into lots of different stuff, but there's something about the old stuff that I just love. And much as I try to be like open to everything, and there's some great new music out there, but I don't know. Maybe it's just the way it was recorded and the fact that it was a whole lot more live in a lot of cases. And no, I don't know. There's a character and a soul and a quality that I find in the old stuff, in any genre that I really just can't help but gravitate to. So what I would like to do one day is to do all my songs live and actually have like the opportunity to like practice them with a band,
Oh, that'd be
repeatedly.
awesome.
So yeah, I do so much of this on my own, and I'm dying to have like an in studio performance because I think I capture the best side of myself when I'm like in there in the moment, and it's hard to capture that when you're like track by track
Yeah.
and you haven't played songs live or with anybody yet. Like Gus and I'll go in there and brainchild some of these things, and I don't even know. I've never heard the bass line. I've never heard the drums. I've never heard like the music that accompanies me doing my music, and so it can be awesome, but it can also be like you're a little bit lost, like trying to find the music that surrounds it. And it's nice when you can jam it out. So,
Do you have a favorite song that you like to cover or used to sing in karaoke?
oh, Wooly Bully. That's my karaoke song. That's, I mean, I would love to cover that on stage too. I think it's the greatest song ever.
What do you think makes a great song? The reason I asked that was yesterday I was out in the car having a drive and I'd not put this song on in a while, but I put Queen Bohemian Rhapsody on.
I was
And
just thinking, how did I know you were going to say that?
hey, great minds think alike, Jesse.
Yeah, that was wild.
I listened to that for the first time in a month or so, right? That song might be the closest thing to musical genius, in my
I
opinion.
couldn't.
Unless you really listen to it, and unless like yourself, you're a musician and can appreciate it. There's so many layers to that. Like they make it, weave together so well. But
Yeah.
got
How did
everything,
they?
doesn't it? You literally have got two or three different genre influences in there, aren't you? Like,
Yeah.
you've got the edge of the classic, you've got the pop rock, you've got the lot. I don't know if it's true, but I watched the biopic when it came out a few years ago, and there was a
Yeah.
scene in that where I don't know if you've seen it, but the band were just coming up, and they go to the record label exec's office, and the record label exec didn't get it. He didn't. It was too far out for him to quite understand. That he wanted to change certain things about it, which promptly in this particular scene then proceeded with Freddie Mercury to throw something out the window and basically told them to where to go, which
Yeah.
I really hoped happened because imagine if they hadn't stuck to their principles and their beliefs and that genius.
I, we would have never heard the song.
See, I don't know about you, but you'll know this by now. I've got a deep love for Queen and many other bands, but I go through phases. Don't know if you go through this. I go through phases where I'm into a bit of this, phase into a bit of that. And
Yeah.
when you go through the amount of hits that they have, it's, I mean, decades. It's quite incredible.
Yeah. And they're like so unique,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
They're really thing that nobody else has captured and maybe never. It's like, yeah, ACDC, same thing. Like they're just
Yeah.
there are nobody is ever gonna sound like that again.
Yeah. Isn't it weird though that we have the same idea for the answer to that?
Yeah. Oh man, I think that's the like, yeah, I agree with you. It's the closest to musical genius there is. It's so good. I mean, there's a lot of talented people doing some great stuff out there, but that song is just incredible. And maybe it is a product of our time too that like we don't hear more songs like that because that back then like you were still hearing like rock guitars in music on the radio. Now it's a different kind of genius, I guess, that like is coming onto the radio. I don't tend to gravitate to it as much.
I'm the same. Yeah. I don't know if for me it's just an age thing. Now I'm into my mid 30s now, but the current product on most commercial pop radio stations just doesn't do it for me. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, but I mean, I've started last few years. I've started going to folk festivals. I've started dipping my toe in all sorts of more poetry, story driven music I can find. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about it, but to me, there's just a more artistry in that.
There's like a status quo, like I don't know, a few topics that you're allowed to sing about in pop these days, and
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, they've got the recipe, haven't they? They've got the recipe,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
and they're probably thinking, why change the recipe, right?
yeah. I mean, I remember folks, like in any age, people have always been like, I don't get it, even when the bands I love were popular, and I remember when Nirvana first came out when I was young, I was like, nah, this ain't like Jimi Hendrix. It's not very good. Now I think it's the coolest. Nirvana's amazing, and so on. And I do come to things that have like had their day and passed, and then I stumble upon it, and I'm like, this is actually pretty good. I didn't give it
Yeah.
its credit and the time it was popular, but yeah, I don't know.
Which, if you had to pick three songs that mean the most to you, both that you've written and that you like to listen to personally?
Ooh. Uh, Ride On by AC/DC has always been a favorite. Just gives me the feels. Uh, there was, I remember I went through a breakup. I can't remember the name of this song, but Eddie or Pearl Jam was
Yeah, yeah.
like, that line that's like, did I say that I loved you? Did I say that I wanted you? I can't remember the name of it, but that one, when I don't turn it on too often, but I love it. It's got to go. Ooh, Ripple by Grateful Dead. That was the first song that ever made me cry. I'd never heard it before, and I couldn't understand why I was crying. I was just driving back from a walk in the park, and Ripple came on, and there was just something about the poetry and the lyrics and the groovy guitars, and I was like, "This is beautiful." Uh, for me, my songs, jeez. I guess Any Time of Night, that was a big one for me when I wrote that. I was mega huge in love, and I got myself coming through on that one. I mean, Cool Whip isn't like a moving song, but it makes me feel so good when I listen to it and when I
Yeah.
play it. That one. Uh, well, I mean, I've got a couple unreleased one that I really identify with. I just wrote this one called As We Rise. Actually, I just recorded it. And it's totally different from anything I've done. It's got this cool picking pattern, so I get to like nerd out on that a little bit. And then I sing it really soft, and it's about like I'm like talking and acknowledging death as if it's like a person. And I think I got the lyrics pretty good on that one. And we struggled in the studio with like getting the music to surround all that, like so it wasn't overtaking it and whatnot. But in the end, I think we nailed it. And then like when I hear that one, it just makes me feel like I want to close my eyes and stand still. So it does a thing. Yeah, that one I don't know when it'll be out, but yeah, it's called As We Rise.
That's something that your fans will be teased with now. Now you've said that.
Yeah, it's a good one.
They'll, they'll be DMing you, Jesse, when's it coming out?
I'm like, send that to my manager. He'll tell you.
Absolutely. So, obviously you've been touring for a while now, and
Yep.
it got me thinking, while you're on the road, what is the key things that you miss when you're on the road, aside from obviously family and things like that, because that's just a given, isn't it? But also, what's the thing you look forward to most while you're on the road? Is it because I saw you obviously you go all over the place in the States and everywhere. Is there a particular town or city or something that you look forward to going to every year?
I think just being on the stage, I don't care where I am. Like I could be anywhere. Obviously going over to Europe, it was really cool to have like new drives. I've driven across Canada enough to like be able to blindfold drive that one. But I still look forward to being on stage every night in Canada too. Uh, yeah, I mean, it's just the magic of like the energy exchange between like myself and the band, and then the people, and when it's really happening, like I look, it's just a crazy drug, and I look forward to that. Uh, I'm a bit of a coffee snob, so when I leave home, I've started taking a coffee apparatus with me, so I'll
Really?
always have some decent coffee. Yeah, you get in the middle of Canada, it's getting better. But like 10 years ago, driving across Canada, you get out of BC, and there just wasn't really much for good coffee. It kind of turns into like Tim Hortons the whole way across,
Yeah.
and uh, that stuff's not very good. And some people, it's like the craft singles of coffee, and I love craft singles when I have them. Try to avoid it though. But yeah, I don't know. Coffee's a big one on the road. I got to get coffee.
Any
Uh,
particular type? What are we talking? Are we talking ground, beans, instant? What are we working with here?
well, I have some beautiful Guatemalan beans that I'm working on
Nice.
right, and I've been doing it. I had a percolator. I never made coffee in a percolator before, like one of the mocha
Good
percolators.
shout. Yeah.
Yeah, like on my tour in
Get that in
Europe,
your
there
veins so you feel it, don't you?
it was awesome. It was life changing. So I bought one as soon as I got home, and now I'm like tempted to bring the percolator with me. But there's lots of good coffee in UK, so I might just buy my coffees there and be a little bit more of an adventure. I don't know. We'll see.
I
We'll
don't
see.
I don't know about you, but like, 'cause I'm into my coffee as well, and I've recently I basically search out like small artisans that I can just order my coffee from, and when I get sort of like bored or want to mix it up a little bit, I'll find somewhere else. Because in the last sort of 5, 10 years, there has been an upturn, hasn't there, in like
Oh yeah,
little artisans, smaller quality places popping up all over the place.
I love it. You know, there's things we can complain about of our modern times, sure, but we have access to artisan coffee and artisan beer and spices from all over the world, and
Absolutely.
uh, it's a pretty good time for consuming yummy things.
How do you have your coffee?
Well, I'm an oat milk guy. I can't do cream; it makes me stuffy. And I did
Mm.
cream always. I've done it black, but I get a little spot of milk in there. So yeah, I got my oat milk, and yeah, hot.
I'm also a little bit of a coffee snob. So there's two things in common here: Queen and coffee, man.
Yeah.
And final couple. I'll let you go on with your day. Um,
Sure.
if you was to write a book in the future, um, what would you call it, and which song of yours do you think could be in the running for being most representative of the theme?
Well, I probably have a different answer to this at the end of my life. Uh oh, okay. I got another unreleased song that I demoed. It's called "Ain't It Good," and then I do kind of like a Bob Dylan-y sort of like uh it's like a ride the wave as long as it lasts. Give it time, kick some ass. Give it dang, give it good. Get it up and give it wood. Fire the pistol, start the race. Walk or run, you in this place. Better make it good. Oh, you wave it on the face, it show itself in time. It's kind of just like a little commentary on life as I see it.
Mate,
And
it sounds
so
great.
that would probably be my theme song. What would I call it? Mm. Get better at getting better, and you'll be good.
Nice, nice. Final two. If someone was to come to you in, say, 20 years and say, Jesse, you've had an amazing career, you still got an amazing career, but we want to make a biopic of your journey. Who are you going for? Who are you picking?
Oh, like as the actor to play me?
Sorry, as an actor. Like, is there like an actor that you'd be like, right, you,
Oh, Chris Hemsworth, man, he's handsome as hell. he'd be a he'd be a better looking by far version of myself. But then people think I was, super hunky. So
see, well, you don't look too bad for me. You're doing well. Don't
thanks.
do yourself a disservice, man. And finally, where can people find you once again, just to remind people?
Well, other than in the UK this week, I'll be Spotify, Apple Music, all your streamings. Yeah, just write my name on the internet, Jesse Roper. You'll find me. It's there.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Jesse, for giving me your time.
Hey, man, thanks for having me.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.